First editions, letters, autographs, and personal belongings of celebrities and somewhat idols. Avid collectors and devoted fans are often willing to spend whatever it takes to own such relics. Even something as unusual as a box containing human ashes isn't entirely out of place at Julien's auctions. That's something the organizers themselves acknowledge with a bit of irony. "We've sold unusual things," said co-founder Martin Nolan, "like William Shatner's kidney stone, because at Julien's, we leave no stone unturned." In the world of celebrity memorabilia, there are virtually no limits when it comes to what fans are willing to buy. That helps explain why, at the September 2016 Icons and Idols Hollywood auction, President and CEO Julien offered collectors something truly unprecedented, a chance to glimpse the most intimate side of the life of one of America's most famous writers, Truman Capote. The item was an urn containing his ashes. According to the organizers, this was the first time human ashes had ever been offered as a public auction lot. If it wasn't Truman Capote, it would be disrespectful, one organizer said in an interview with CNN. Capote himself once joked, "I'm as tall as a shotgun, and I'm just as noisy." Standing just 5 feet 4 inches tall, with a high-pitched voice and a sharp, icy smile, he had a flair for shocking his audience. He could captivate New York society, most famously with his lavish black and white ball, while at the same time alienating his closest friends by turning their lives into material for his unfinished novel Answer Prayers. Portions of the book were published in Esquire in 1975. By converting friendship into literary material, Capote paid a steep personal price: loneliness. The very swans he once celebrated turned against him, pushing him off the social pedestal he had built. In the end, he became increasingly dependent on alcohol and drugs. In the preface to Summer Crossing, one of Capote's closest friends, his lawyer Alan Schwartz, recalls how, for years, he tried to save the writer from his destructive addictions. He arranged treatment at top rehabilitation clinics, helped manage debts, and handled legal troubles. Eventually, he succeeded in persuading Capote to draft a short, simplified will to protect his work and intellectual property. Capote spent the last years of his life in Los Angeles, at the home of his close friend Joan Carson, the former wife of late-night host Johnny Carson. He died there in 1984, just a month before his 60th birthday, people say from a drug overdose. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at about $2 million, including real estate. According to the New York Times, Capote's longtime companion of more than 25 years, novelist Jack Dunphy, was named the primary beneficiary. He inherited Capote's real estate, personal belongings, and a share in a trust fund that was to be established later. After Dunphy's death, the remaining funds were designated to support an annual literary prize for criticism. During his lifetime, Capote did provide financial support to his relatives, helping with business ventures, paying for education, and even supporting his father despite their strained relationship. However, when the will was read, his family was left disappointed. He had not left them anything. The aforementioned Alan Schwartz was appointed executor of Truman Capote's estate and trustee of the Future Literary Trust. Capote trusted him completely and liked to say, "If you have Alan Schwartz, you don't need a lawyer." After Jack Dunphy died in 1992, Schwartz went on to establish the Truman Capote Literary Trust in 1994. On March 24th of that year, a gala breakfast for about 150 guests was held at the Tiffany & Company boutique in New York to announce the foundation's programs. It was revealed that 2 Stanford undergraduates would each receive $32,000 annually, while the University of Iowa, renowned for its prestigious writing programs, would receive $36,000 to be distributed among 4 students. In addition, a $100,000 Truman Capote Prize for Literary Criticism was to be awarded every 4 years at Stanford, while the top critic at the University of Iowa would receive an annual prize of $50,000. Thanks to the careful financial management of Schwartz, along with the help of his wife Louise and son John, the foundation steadily grew. By 2006, its assets had reached approximately $9 million. This growth was boosted in part by the success of the 2005 film Capote, in which Philip Seymour Hoffman delivered an acclaimed performance, as well as by the posthumous publication of Summer Crossing. Schwartz has also been diligent in protecting the copyrights held by the foundation. By 2025, according to public reports, the trust held about $8.5 million in assets, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars annually through investments in intellectual property. Through scholarships and grants, the foundation supports a wide range of institutions, including Cornell University, University of Alabama, Appalachian State University, University of North Carolina, Brooklyn College, and others. It is not surprising that the legacy and even the remains of Truman Capote have attracted attention not only in life, but after death as well. Notably, Capote made no specific mention of his ashes, which later led to confusion and conflicting claims. Some of those close to Joan Carson, in whose home Capote died, said she wanted to keep part of his remains with her. She reportedly planned for a portion of his ashes to be buried near Marilyn Monroe at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Another portion remained with Carson until her death in 2015. At the same time, Jack Dunphy maintained that he had received Capote's remains. According to some accounts, in 1994 the ashes of Capote and Dunphy were scattered together at Crooked Pond on Long Island, near Sagaponack, New York. These conflicting stories only added to the mystery surrounding Capote's final resting place. That lingering ambiguity helps explain why, as Julien later noted, the sale of Capote's ashes seemed entirely in the spirit of the writer himself. Not silence and oblivion, but a trace of scandal, mystery. The ashes passed from hand to hand like a relic, like a story, like the continuation of a myth. At auction, the remains were presented in their original container from a morgue, placed inside a carved Japanese wooden box. Interest came from collectors around the world: Russia, Germany, China, South America, and across the United States. "I thought it might sell for over $10,000, Julien said, but I didn't expect it to reach $45,000. The buyer chose to remain anonymous. Still, Julien suggested that, in a way, Truman Capote himself would have appreciated the spectacle. As he told Julie Miller Vanity Fair, "I'm sure he would look at this and say, 'This is exactly what I would have done.'" Alongside Capote's ashes, the auction also featured many of his personal belongings: books from his library, clothing, including trousers and the shirt he was reportedly wearing on the day of his death, and even a set of prescription pill bottles, which sold for about $5,000. In total, according to the auction house, around 50 items from the estate of Joan Carson were offered. The sale also included other celebrity memorabilia: a lock of hair from Marilyn Monroe, a collection of ties belonging to Steve Jobs, and a shirt from the TV series The Dukes of Hazzard. The 20th century turned privacy, and even death, into something that could be bought and sold. This is one way we preserve, or perhaps consume, the memory of cultural icons today. But where is the line between admiration and fetish? Was that disrespectful to auction off the remains of a great writer? Or was it, in its own way, a final gesture perfectly in tune with Capote's personality? That's for each of us to decide, assuming, of course, we're not already reaching for our wallets, wondering whether it's worth paying thousands of dollars for a tangible piece of someone else's immortality. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Your perspective really matters. I still personally hold on to a certain optimism and a true believer that Truman Capote will ultimately be remembered not for the endless stories about fame, addiction, and excess, but for something far more enduring: his language, his style, his memory, and his remarkable gift for storytelling. I periodically return to the great Capote, where he was at his best, where he felt most authentic, on the pages of his books. That's where his voice comes through most clearly, and that's where he remains fully himself.